Would anybody else like to share what questions stuck out or what stuck out to you in this chapter?
I'll go ahead and talk. So I mean, obviously they say it like a million times, but the like, don't take anything personally needed to be repeated that many times for me to truly see it in everything, like, because I think if somebody says, oh, don't take that personally, you go, yeah, sure, I won't. And then you go home and you stir and you think and you like over contemplate everything. But I loved that when I was reading the chapter, it was like, don't take anything personally. Next page, don't take anything personally. Next page, trust yourself. And remember, don't take anything personally. So it was like, I didn't even have to reread it because it was so many times in the chapter. But like, when you think about it, how many times do we really need to hear that for us to truly not take anything personally? Like, so it was kind of cool to even have that as your question, Becky. But then also it was like, he knew he was going to have to repeat it 500 times in that chapter for us to read it and read it and read it. And then, like, I don't know about you guys, but so I read a couple pages throughout the week. Like, I read a couple pages in the beginning of the week. I read a couple pages the other day. And then I read a couple pages like last night. And so reading it throughout the week, like, was a constant reminder all week. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Find another way to look at it. Find another way to look at it. What do you want? I kept asking myself, what do I want? Okay, you know what they want. They've expressed themselves. What do you want? Don't take it personally. And I just literally was like a repeat this week. And I felt myself actually come out of like a dark mood that I was in. I don't know about you guys, but like Mercury went into retrograde this past week. I was just feeling a little off, like over the last weekend, and my period is all messed up as well. Like, it's all like shifting. And so I was like, I even told Mike, I go, my hormones are out of control. I don't know what's wrong. But I think I honestly just needed to stop taking things personally. Like, that's what it was. Like, as soon as I have like not allowed other people's opinions and whatever, and other people even just like being in my house or going places, like, I've just been like protected. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but like the moment I said don't take anything personally, it was like this little protection came around me. And like, I've felt my mood change so much in the last week of just reading this chapter. So I have really appreciated him repeating it a million times because I needed that.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that, Jenny, because I felt the same way. And I think that's why I struggled to come up with the questions, because it was just so short and simple and sweet. Don't take anything personally. And it did. It felt like it was repeated on every single page. But I'm going to bring you guys to the second page of the chapter. So page 48, kind of in the middle. But this was the part that I reread because it was kind of right in the beginning of the chapter. And I was like, wait a minute, did he just call me selfish? Okay, hang on. Let me check this out again. So like on the personal importance part, like right in the middle of the page, I'm going to read, what causes you to be trapped is what we call personal importance. Personal importance, or taking things personally, is the maximum expression of selfishness. And that kind of made me mad for a second. So I went back and reread it and I'm like, okay, because we make the assumption that everything is about me. During the period of our education or our domestication, we learn to take everything personally. We think we are responsible for everything. Me, always me. And then I started thinking about that. Nothing other people do is because of you, even if it's a compliment, even if it's a diss. And I realized, like, yeah, that is kind of a form of selfishness because you're taking in all the emotional garbage that they're saying and you make it about you, when really every word that leaves their lips is about them, or it's coming from some belief that they have about you or some judgment they've made in the past about you, you know. And so anyway, I read that paragraph a couple times, and then yeah, just as every page that I turned, it like made more sense to me. And I'm like, yeah, he is kind of right. It is a form of selfishness. And it almost made me, like you said, it kind of makes me want to, which I'm kind of jumping to number 3 a little bit, but it makes me want to like walk around with like a bubble around me. And it's like, nope, like you would throw something at me, I'll just bounce it right back at you. Like, nope, I don't need to hear it. So I thought Yeah, so I reread that section a little bit, and then yeah, it just like was like perpetuated every page. Don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Bumper bubbles. Yeah.
I think it was kind of cool because he said it a lot, but it was in different contexts. Like the first time it was like he said had something to do with like your point of view. And then he said emotional garbage. And like I thought it was cool. He kept repeating himself, but it wasn't the same exact way each time. Like I had a crap ton of stuff underlined. Like 48, I had like almost the entire page underlined because it was so good. I read it through my lunch break, and that's only 30 minutes. It was such a good chapter.
I jumped in like a sec. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll go. Sorry, Kristen. I was right there with Becky on that page 48. I like underlined nothing other people do is because of you. And I was like, louder for the back of my brain. Louder for the back of my brain, because man alive, I get so stuck in that. And then that I'm wonderful, that I don't need somebody else to tell me that I'm wonderful. I think we always are looking for that satisfaction. Like we get so mad if someone tells us that we're not good enough. And then when they do tell us that we're good enough, we're like, oh, thank goodness somebody thinks that I'm good enough. Somebody thinks that I'm wonderful. And just like that's what builds us up. But in reality, I already know that I'm wonderful. And it's like, yay, good, you finally see it. You're right. I am amazing. And kind of thinking like it took me back. My life with my ex was all about reassurance from him. Everything I did, I needed him to be proud of me. I needed him to tell me good job. I did not think that I was good enough unless he said it. And, now moving forward, I'm in an amazing relationship with somebody who does tell me that I'm wonderful, but it's finally clicking like that I know that, and that it feels better knowing that he also knows it. Like we are both wonderful together, and neither one of us needs the other person to say that, but you say that because you love them and you're proud of them. And so it's I'm working on it still. That back part of my brain is still kind of like, do you like me? Are you sure? Like, did you think that I did a good job when I did that thing? But definitely reading this book has like, I'm like, okay, you're right. I am really good. I'm awesome. You know what? I make mistakes, but that's okay. And I'm going to move forward and I'm going to learn from them. So this chapter was, I love this one the most so far.
Yeah, so it's a very similar point to what Bethany said, and that's, like as an addict, I forget about myself so much that I don't remember that I'm good enough and that I am, and that, I go back to when I was an addict, when I was, horrible. I mean, I was a horrible human being when I was an addict, really I was. And so it's like, I forget that I come so far from that point, and I really have to remind myself that there are still people who know addict Kristen, who don't know Kristen in recovery, who think that I'm still that person and I'm not. And so they say that stuff about me, and I'm like, I believe it sometimes, like, damn, you are like, yeah, I'm always going to be an addict. That's my life. I will always be an addict. But where I'm at now, I'm a grateful recovering addict. I'm not just an addict. So I have to remind myself that moving forward, to agree with what I believe and not with whatever, everybody else believes. And so it's like, I can't take that personally when they say that, because that's the person that they knew then, but the person now is different.
And that's so crazy. When we work on ourselves, how some people that we thought were our close friends, or people that we thought that really cared about us, start to flip it and start judging us, start telling us, you are a totally different person. Like, who are you? Like, why are you this beach body person now? Like, they put a title on me. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm living a healthy lifestyle. Like, I've changed for the better. Like, I'm sorry you don't respect that, but there's different seasons in my life. And we all have a season, we all have a journey. Like, yes, I was that college girl that partied and took shots after shots and, you know, danced on the stages and got up top on the bars. Like, I was her. But who I am now is a different season in my life. And I'm sorry that you don't accept that, but I know who I am. And I am so proud of who I am. So we can kick it if you want to accept it, or you can just go Wally on and still be you too. So I love that. But it's so hard because our loved ones are the hardest people to accept our change, even if it's a good change. I don't understand that.
I call them my Me Too friends. When I got in addiction recovery, we call them my Me Too friends. They only want to get high with me too. They only want to party with me too. They only want me to live the life that they want me to live. They're my Me Too friends.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. I have some stories of
So I'm
what
gonna
is my-
add.
I have something to add to when Tessa's done.
Okay. So mine that I kind of reread was on page 57. And it says, when we really see other people as they are without taking it personally, we can never be hurt by what they say or do. Even if others lie to you, it is okay. They are lying to you because they are afraid. They are afraid you will discover that they are not perfect. It is painful to take that social mask off. If others say one thing but do another, you are lying to yourself if you don't listen to their actions. But if you are truthful with yourself, you will save yourself a lot of emotional pain. Like, that to me was not taking it personally. And it kind of goes with that, like, a lot of people know 20 years ago, Tessa, or 5 years ago, Tessa, or 10 years ago, Tessa. Like, it's a lot of times, like, even at work, there's one of the guys that I work with, he has known me my entire life. And he will say, man, you lucky you didn't say that to 10 years ago, Tessa, because she would rip your freaking head off, because I was that, something, I would immediately, my mouth would come open and spew. But I think, like, when we change and we start looking internally, people start to see their own flaws or imperfections also. And so they're not lying to you, they're lying to themselves about what it is. So not taking that personally, because they are afraid. They're afraid that they're going to see their true self, and they're probably not going to like that person, but they have put that mask on for so long that that's just who they know. And they have to discover, like, you know, I don't have to be the person I was 10 years ago. I get to be somebody completely different. I get to be that butterfly that goes into the cocoon and gets to come out on the other side completely different and just fly. And that's where I think, like, I agree with Tennille, like, it's hard for people to see that change, especially people that are really close to you, because they're so used to that person. And they've told themselves, oh, well, if she's like that, I can be like that. Or we don't have to change what we're doing. And when you start to do that, you outgrow people. I have outgrown so many people in my life. It is absolutely crazy, the amount of people I have outgrown. And then the amount of people that I have grown into, especially with you ladies, of, like, you push me to make me be a better version of myself, to make me go, I don't know about that. Maybe I should look into that. And that is just, we're growing. And some people just don't want to grow. They want to stay where they're at, because they don't have to change and they don't have to face that reality. So that was one part that I, like, really read over and over, was like, they're not lying to me, they're lying to themselves.
So I am multitasking because I'm getting ready for church. So that's why I don't have my camera on. And I'm talking quietly because my husband just got home from work. So he's in the other room. So I have to talk quietly. But anyways, so when I was reading this whole chapter, I actually thought of my dad. And some of you know him, some of you don't. But I'll be honest with you. I did not grow up with hearing praise nor negativity from him. I am 32 years old and I've never heard my dad say to me, I'm proud of you. Because he always said to us kids when we played events or when we did sporting events or when we did musicals or whatever, he used to always say, how do you think you did? And we used to get so mad at him because we were like, you aren't proud of us. Like, I just ran 13.1 freaking miles and you can't say, I'm so proud of you, Jennifer Lynn. No, and he never did. I've ran 4 of them. And not one time has he ever said to me, I'm proud of you. He will say, good job, but usually it ends up with, how do you think you did? Did you run how you thought you were going to run? Did you, when my brothers played ball, did you throw the pitches that you thought? Could you have done better? Could you have sang louder? Could you, it used to drive me crazy thinking like, really, you're my dad? And like, but I never grew up with praise or negativity from him. It was always, how you did. It's not on me to tell you if you think you did a good job or you didn't do a good job. And so when I was reading this, and it talked in here, like Miguel, it was like, when I'm happy, I'm going to tell you did a good job. If I'm mad at you, I'm going to tell you, you're the worst, or, oh my gosh, you're such a devil. And I thought to myself, like, wow, and it's true. It is true. But it just, the whole time I was reading it, I thought, oh, this is totally my dad coming back to me, because it used to drive me crazy because still, like I said, 32, he's never once ever told us in words that I'm proud of you. It has always, how do you think you did? Like, I shouldn't have to tell you. How did he word it? Something like, I shouldn't have to tell you if you did a good job if you know you did a good job. Or I shouldn't have to tell you that you did a poor job because you know you did a poor job. So, when you finished crossing the line and I ran 13.1 miles for the first time and he was there to watch it, thinking I was going to get praise and I should have known better, but he didn't praise me. He hugged me. And then I stewed about it because I was like, you've got to freaking be kidding me right now. But it's true. It wasn't about what he thought. It was how I thought about it. So I just have to think to myself, sorry, that's my dog. Think to myself, like, that gosh darn dad, he was right again. Dang it. So that's just my little input. And now I'm going to mute because my dog's barking.
I just kind of to go along with that and pretty much what everybody else has said. One passage that I read over again because I was like, wait, what? On page 53, at the bottom of the page, he says, don't take anything personally, even if someone got a gun and shot you in the head. And I was like, wait a minute. I read that like 3 times because I was like, but if someone's going to shoot me in the head, they have a problem with me. And then I was like, oh, I see what he did there. Like if someone shoots you in the head or, whatever the awful is that they do, it isn't you. It isn't me. It's something, they're demons or something in them. I'm like, oh, dang. Like that one really hit me deep. And just another little note on this book. The last 2 chapters that we've had, my husband and I have had great conversations about. He got home late last night after I finished reading this, and me and him just talked for probably at least 45 minutes, just talking about taking things personally and our own experiences in our lives. And just, I was just so surprised that we were able to just obviously relate, but like just get in a deeper context on it just with each other. It was so cool, but it kind of helped me work through what he was saying in the book, getting his input too. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Did Brittany, I've been a little bit distracted. I apologize with my family. Did you get to share, Brittany? Or did you want to?
I feel like I have so much to share. I don't even know where to start. One thing I do want to share is like the whole changing thing. I realized that people that won't accept your change actually want that change for themselves, but they're not like willing to like take that leap. So like recently I gave up alcohol and all my friends drink. And like last night, the girl, she like gave me a hard time and she like wouldn't let go of it. And it made me really uncomfortable. But after reading this chapter, I was like, that's on her. Like, that's how she feels about me. And I'm kind of like, what the hell? Like, but I didn't cave in. But I mean, we left early and I was kind of like, I don't want to be around those people. Like, why are they trying to belittle me and what I'm doing? So that kind of hit me. And then Mrs. Chambers, I'm not sure your first name, but the whole thing about like, my question is like, why do we need reassurance? You know, like my husband, he's the same way. He's like, well, how do you feel? I'm like, well, I feel good, but can you tell me good job? Like every once in a while? Like, I want to figure out, why do we need reassurance?
No, I totally agree. Sorry, this is my Zoom for school, so I left it.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, it's
No,
perfect.
and it does. It's kind of hard sometimes because I'm the same way. I'm like, come on, I fucking ran 13 miles and you can't even say good. You can't even praise me for that. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. You know, it's true. It's what we think about it. So
I feel like it's a little bit of tough love. But then again, I'm just like, just tell me good job, or just tell me I look beautiful. Like I feel beautiful, but I just want you to tell me that. Is it like confidence, or you know what I mean? Like, does anybody else feel that way?
I totally agree, Brittany.
So that is hard because we do want to feel like we're doing a good job. Like we do have self-confidence. Like I know I'm a rock star because I get up and I push play every day. Like I know I'm a confident person because I listen to my self-development. Like I know I'm happy and I'm joyful because I feel good. I feel my body correctly, you know, like I know those things, but like I work hard. I want others to notice too. But I think what's hard is we want those words, but maybe what we should start focusing on is those actions. Okay. So what we do is going to reflect on the ones around us. So if they're not giving us those words that we want to hear, maybe we can start watching their actions, and they're giving their love through actions. Maybe they're watching us eat healthy, so they grab that apple instead of, you know, that bag of candy. Or maybe they get up or they go for a run that day instead of sitting on the couch and watching their TV show. So maybe if they're not giving you those words or to fill you up, search for them somewhere else. Maybe do some self-development. Maybe look yourself in the mirror and tell you you're beautiful. Like, wow, I got a rocking outfit on today. I'm feeling myself. Like, yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I am strong. Give those words to yourself. But then also watch their reactions to how you treat yourself and what you do. I'm sure they're going to start changing a little bit. And that's how you're going to recognize, wow, they do watch me. They do think I'm beautiful. They do think I'm happy because now they're doing self-development. So maybe flip it a little bit.
I think you're right. And I think it kind of goes to your love language too. You know, that one book, The 5 Love Languages, like different people feel love different ways. So they're obviously going to show their love through how they feel loved. It's just different than my way. So I agree with you, Tennille. And the actions are there. So.
And I think like also like a basic human need is 2 of them is feeling valued and appreciated. So when we don't get those compliments, we feel like our value isn't there and that we're not appreciated, even though we are, but we have just like, we want to hear that. We need to hear that to know that like, okay, I've done good, even though you know that you have, because that's just like a basic human need that we need. And I think that like a lot of times we put too much value into that instead of putting the value into ourselves and realizing like, you're a bad bitch, you're okay.
Yeah, I love that, Tessa. I think sometimes we do need that validation. And I think what the book is reminding us is that you can give it to yourself. Like you don't need other people to say, hey, good job. You tell yourself, good job. And now that we know that telling ourselves good job is so much more important than somebody else telling us good job. So now that we know that, now we can apply it and say, so next time you're running, Jennifer, and you finish that 13.1 miles, you can walk right past your dad and be like, hell yeah, I just did that. Boom. Did you guys see that? I don't even care if you did, because I felt it. I did it. But you know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, get out of my way, girl, coming through, just ran 13.1 miles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you just find a way to celebrate yourself because you feel good about what you did, literally, it doesn't even matter what they say, good or bad. Like, and I love that. Like, even Tennille, you're like, man, I got a rocking outfit on. And what if you would have walked out and one of your kids would have said, oh, mom, you're wearing that? You're like, hell yeah, I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you have your own justification and you trust yourself, it doesn't matter what they say. So don't look outward for that validation. Look inward and say, I validate myself because this is what I choose and I trust myself. Boom, bottom line. Then you have your suit of armor on and you put it on yourself. You didn't have to ask anybody to put your helmet on. You put your own damn helmet on. Okay. And you went out there and forged forward. And I just like, it's just so cool to have validation from a book saying you don't need validation though, I don't know, whatever. But we got it, right?
Every time I think of like confidence, I always think about Mike and his speech about confidence. Like literally every single time I'm like, Mike's got confidence. And that every time it always reminds me of that. I don't know why, it just does. That's something that just I always think of.
Well, and you're right, Jenny, because if you're celebrating, like people are going to jump in on that celebration.
And also, I like to have my husband tell me that I'm beautiful sometimes. I mean, we like that, right? Like, I like my husband to look at me and say, ooh, you looking good today. You looking sexy. Like, so communicate that. Does your husband or your boyfriend or fiance, or do they know that you want that? It's part, you have to communicate with them too and tell them what you need. Like my mom always used to do happy day gifts for us kids. Like just send stuff in the mail or, we'll come home from school and she'll have something on the table for us. And they were happy day gifts just because, like no reason. And my husband knows that I like those because he would have never known if I wouldn't communicate him. On Valentine's Day, I don't want the flowers and the chocolate, but on a random day, on a Wednesday evening, like come home with those flowers. Yes. But how did he know that? It was by me communicating with him. Okay. I don't need that all the time. I don't need that every month or every week, but every now and again, it feels good. Feels good to have those words. Feels good to have those flowers every now and again. So make sure we're also communicating as well. All right, Becky, you want to jump into question 2?
I was just thinking that I was like, question 1, we're going to take up the whole time with question 1. But I think it was the best one and it gives some room for people to share the quotes that they liked. So yeah, let's do question 2. I think it was the alike or different. Yes. So what connections between the first and second agreements can you make? How are they alike or different? And just since I'm unmuted, I'm going to share first. So I think it's pretty obvious that they're very alike and they're linked. I wrote down, they're both difficult to master. Okay, so just in case you've forgotten, the first agreement was to be impeccable with your word. And then obviously the second one was to not take anything personally. I think both are incredibly difficult to master. And I think it would be like something you'll have to work on daily. But I think that they go hand in hand. And I think the more impeccable that you are with your word, the easier it might be to not take things personally. That's kind of what I pulled from it. I wrote down also, only the truth will set us free. And then I like triple underline, but it's our truth. It's our word and it's our agreement. So yeah, I'll let some other people share, but totally go hand in hand. And obviously that's probably why it was, chapter 2 and then chapter 3. But I mean, both so difficult to master, I think, but I just think of the more we do better with the first agreement, the better the second one gets.
I think that as crazy as it is, the first agreement is more difficult for me than the second agreement because I've always been taught in my life to take everything personally. Like my mom literally would tell us when we were kids, like, you need to listen to what people say because you need to change from there. But maybe I don't want to change from there. Like as an adult, I'm learning that I have to unlearn so much stuff. So moving forward, I can teach my daughter her own way to find her own path, not I want you to do this, 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 and this because I didn't get to do it when I was a kid. It's not our dream. Our kids' dream isn't our dream. We have to let them find their own. And so it's like Teddy and I were literally talking about Annie yesterday, going, man, I wonder what she's going to do when she gets older. And he's like, yeah, I hope she wants to race. And I was like, don't hope that. If she wants to race, she wants to race. Like she could want to do ballet and race too, but we don't get to pick that for her. Like she has to make a decision herself. She could get burnt out and not want to. But I have the hardest time with not taking things personally because it's like, especially as an addict, my brain is still learning how to rewire moving forward. And so everything is personal to me because I've always been on the edge and on the defense of things, trying to hold myself accountable for all of this shit that I've done for so long. So I'm always like, no, I'm not that way anymore. No, I'm doing this. So I'm constantly remembering that where I'm at is okay for me. But I can tell you what I need and I mean what I say, but it is hard for me to not take things personal.
Kristen, I like that you mentioned rewiring your brain because I mean, with anything, whether, getting sober or even just like creating this new agreement with yourself, like it's going to take rewiring. So it's not going to happen overnight. So we got to be patient with ourselves. Totally.
I think for me, the part that I read was on page 50 was when you take things personally, then you feel offended and your reaction is to defend your beliefs and create conflicts. You make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and make everybody else wrong. And then it says later on down, what you say, what you do, and the opinions you have are according to the agreements you have made. And these opinions have nothing to do with me. And it goes back to that whole like being impeccable with your word and what you're saying to yourself. But then if you take something personally, you're going to change that thought that you had and that agreement that you made with yourself. So if you're, somebody's not giving you compliments or they're not giving you that value or that affirmation that you need, you go back to the agreement of, oh, well, I'm not worth it then, or what I've been doing isn't lasting any long. And that totally wipes that whole being impeccable with yourself and, giving yourself that validation instead of now you've made that agreement and you've taken that step back again. And now you have to start that process again, but just staying true to yourself, I think is the biggest point of it all, is to just stay true to yourself. Realize what your beliefs are, realize what you are as a whole to you, not to anybody else. You don't have to validate yourself to anybody at all. You get to be who you want to be, no matter how you were raised, no matter what you were taught, and to take complete control of that, of you as a person. That I think is what others find hard in seeing you as somebody else and somebody different. And so you fall back to those old agreements because it's easy.
Would anybody else like to share number 2, or should we just jump to number 3?
I like how it talks about.
Oh, go ahead, Tennille.
I was just gonna say I like how it points out the chaos in the mind. It points it out in chapter 1, and it also talks about the mito. That word, I think I'm saying it right, mito. The chaos in the mind. So we have to be careful that our mind is constantly running, right? Our mind is constantly turning. We are constantly talking to ourselves we're not talking to others. I mean, it's always chaos. And we have to remember that and remind ourselves to maybe do some meditation, maybe slow down sometimes. Even during the day while you're cooking, take some deep breaths, just recollect yourself, and make sure we don't spiral our mind and allow the chaos to take over.
Yeah, I was just going to mention something about when they talk about don't take it personally, even your speech to yourself, how it just talks about kind of the different entities of your mind that want different things and have different goals. And I just thought that was, a good reminder to be like being intentional with our words, that back to that first agreement. It's so important because we engage that way with ourselves, and like to keep in mind that we don't even have to believe everything that we hear from ourselves in our own mind. Like if there's an agreement in there that we have that maybe doesn't feel right to us, or like we have that and we're like, oh, I don't know. We have that opportunity to recognize that and change it, even when it's imposed on ourselves from ourselves. So I thought that was cool.
If we can go ahead and get a picture before question number 3. Everybody's got their books. Tessa, you got it? Say cheese. All right.
I had to get out of the chat, so I got like full screen. So are we ready?
Oh,
3,
okay.
2, 1. Okay, got it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Let's jump into our question number 3. Okay. What changes will you make in your personal life after reading the second agreement? Would anybody like to share before I go? What changes? I mean, we kind of talked about it, taking things personal.
I'll share real quick. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say on page 59, I have underlined down at the bottom, it says begin to break dozens of teeny tiny agreements that cause you to suffer. Okay, so maybe not start at the huge agreement, or maybe not start at something huge, but maybe break it down and start at something little. Okay, starting teeny tiny and maybe changing a little bit at a time. It's just like a transformation, it's not going to be like, oh, one workout, here I am, it's going to take time. Transformation is going to take time, and then changing our mindset is also going to take time. Sometimes we have to start little, okay? And I just want you to be aware of that. We're not going to change overnight, okay? So focus on the little things first, the teeny tiny, and then we can go from there.
Yes, when I first, I read through the whole chapter and I thought, oh, heck yeah, I'm done taking things personally. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is going to be a piece of cake. And then when I actually started thinking about it, no, that's not going to be a piece of cake. And it's going to be really hard because I'm, rewiring everything that I've been programmed to think. And I wrote down, and I shared this earlier, but I'm going to, try so much harder to kind of put up a bubble, and anything that's said to me, whether it may be positive or bad, and just let it bounce off of me. I don't have to absorb all that stuff, all the negativity, or even the positivity that is coming my way, because, my truth is the what I value the most. So I wrote down, I won't let others' opinions affect me, but we all know that that's going to be a struggle. And it's going to be hard. But now that I'm aware that like even positive things that are said to me is a reflection of the person or the, you know, the person saying that opinion or that belief, or it's an agreement in their mind. Now that I like recognize that, I think it will be easier to not take things personally. And I'm going to try my darndest to do it. And I have one really specific example that I'm not going to share, but it was like I had a little like tussle, little verbal disagreement with my mother-in-law a few years back at a Christmas party. And now that I like look back on that situation, I see it in such a different light. And I kind of see it more like, you know, the words that she said were really a reflection of what was going on inside her rather than a diss to me and a judgment on me. So yeah, so I think it's going to be, it's not going to be easy to do that at all. But now that I'm aware, I'm going to try my darndest to not take things personally. It's going to be hard though.
So I started, after I read this chapter, I wanted to have like a fail-safe for myself when I felt like I was taking things personally. So I wrote out questions for myself and I literally put it in my purse on a note card. And I put, does it represent me? Does this suit me moving forward? And what do I need to do to let it go to move forward of whatever it is that I took personally? Because I feel like for me, I really have to, there has to be action. I have to write it out. I have to burn it. Whatever it is to let something go. I let something sit for too long. Emotion is only supposed to last 90 seconds. And after that, it turns into a mood. And so for me, it was like, I need something to help rewire my brain, even if it's nerdy and it's cards or whatever it is. Like, what can I do for myself to help myself move forward? Even with Annabelle, I get frustrated with her sometimes and take things personally. She's not meaning to do anything to me intentionally. She's 3 years old and I'm a mom and I get overwhelmed and that's normal. So it's like, okay, I need to remember it's not like she's doing this as a personal attack at all.
I love that you said you're going to put like a postcard, because when it said it in the book to write it down somewhere, I'm thinking, okay, where can I put this to be a daily reminder? I really like that, because I need that reminder. So yeah, to help continue that change and to not forget, hey, I'm making this change. Don't take it personally. And I really like that.
Hey, can I jump in real quick about the mitote word there? Because the only reason I really want to address it is because it talks a lot about, so I think I'm saying that right. I don't know, Tennille, we're like, I don't know, we're guessing. But so it's ideally, it's like chaos, right? Like, it's like, I can't understand, I can't break this down, it's too much. And a lot of times that happens in our head. And the great thing is that Elika and Tennille and I just read this book called Organize Your Emotions, Optimize Your Life. And we just learned about all the voices in our heads. And you guys, you didn't know, you have 9 voices in your head, okay? And these voices have specific meanings, and they sometimes can be conflicted because you have a curious adventure voice that makes you want to, let's go and do stuff. But you also have an executive manager that says, let's stay on schedule. You have a voice that says, hey, my body's feeling off. Or you also have a voice that says, hey, I need personal contact with relational. Okay, so you have these voices inside of your heads. You have 9 of them specifically. And they will sometimes overtalk each other. And that sometimes can create that chaos in your head when you're going, wait, I want this organization and I want this, but I also want this freedom and And that's why sometimes in your head you feel, what do I want? Because I'm feeling super conflicted. And a lot of times it's those voices that are just conflicting in your head. And so this book talks a lot about the chaos that can go on in your head. But if you understand the voices, you can organize them. Okay. While you're reading that book, you will feel crazy. Once you finish that book, you will be like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Now I can organize the voices in my head. I can listen to each and every single one of them, give them validation that they've all been heard, and then help them work together. And now that I know not to take things personally, I can help those voices not feel personally attacked. So now my breakdown can be even freer. You know, my roll, so they call it a roll call. So it's like you need to roll call all the voices in your head and go through them and talk to them and see what they're all feeling, because one voice may be super satisfied while one voice is being completely ignored. Okay. And so sometimes if you're like, I need validation, maybe you actually need your relational voice to be speaking up. Maybe you need more connection. So it's like, once you understand where the problem is coming from, which voice is really being ignored, then you can kind of like figure out, okay, is that voice taking it personally? Like, so it's really cool, you guys. Personal development is so cool once you get into it and you consistently do it over and over again, because you learn this part and then you learn this part. Like, I remember learning the 5-second rule and the compound effect. Okay, I knew the compound effect was if I do little things over time, they will equal a large goal. Like working out every single day will eventually get to your weight loss. But then how do I get up and work out? Oh, 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Oh, now I'm working out. Now I'm creating the compound effect. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of this personal development that you're doing is going to build on each other. And sometimes you might feel crazy because you're breaking it all down, but you're going to have a breakthrough as well. Okay. So if taking it personally makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm exposing all these things about me that like are just terrible, you know, like we start getting really in our heads, just know that probably by the end of this book, you're going to feel so much better about it. Okay. Right now you're in the thick of it, which can be really exhausting. And you're like, oh my gosh, I take everything personally. It's okay. It's totally fine, because you have the rest of your life to now work on it, because now you know. And so just remember, as you're working through personal development, you're going to go through a lot of emotions. Those emotions are the voices in your head because they're being adjusted. Okay. So learning about all of this is going to help you understand what you're feeling, because feelings are super important, guys. Okay. So that's all I got.
I love that you mentioned connection, Jenny, because sometimes I think with the reassurance, maybe it's not reassurance. Maybe it's that we just need connection and we're trying to grasp on to that reassurance to make connection. So good point. That was helpful. Thank you.
I love on page 60, I wanted to share this. Down at the bottom, I have it starred. And it says, you can say, I love you without fear of being ridiculed or rejected. So I just wanted to bring this up. My husband's father never told him that he loved him. Now he can take that as doing the same, never telling his kids that he loves them. But he doesn't. He has changed that agreement. He has changed that in his life, and he tells his kids all the time that he loves them. He tells me all the time that he loves me. Okay, so it's up to you how to change things from your past. And I wanted to bring this up. I was at Tessa's house the other day. Okay, I gave her a 30-second hug. Okay, and a squeeze. It made her feel uncomfortable. It gave her anxiety. She had to breathe all the way through it. But I was showing my affection for her. And at the end of it, it was just a connection. At the end of it, it had nothing, no negative, no bad thing came out of it. Okay, nothing. It was just pure love and affection as friendship. So I guess I'm saying, you know, things have happened in our past, but you have to allow those things to also be affectionate and be a better purpose or a better meaning, and not allow it to stay negative. Okay. I'm trying to come off as turning a negative into a positive and allowing it to happen, because maybe it's a breakthrough. Just like my husband, he didn't stay in that negative mindset of not saying I love you to his own kids, because he never got that from his father, but he allowed it to turn it to a positive. He flipped it, and he's allowing to find joy, happiness, and to saying I love you. And that word has a bigger meaning to him now. So just allow some things to flip in your life. Okay, some negativities turn into some positivities. Does anybody have anything else to share before we jump off here? No, I love you too, buddy.
Okay. If no one
go
else
ahead.
does, just please pay attention to page 49. It was one small quote, you guys. Okay. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for predators and the black magic. Okay. The moment you take something personal, you are under that spell. And the moment you're under that spell, you've lost control of your thoughts, your emotions, your own trust. Do not take things personally, because the predators are out there looking for you. Okay, they are searching for the weak, and they are looking to place their spells and their black magic on you. And if you are not guarded and protected and strong and rooted and grounded in your truth, you're going to get the spell. Okay. So I love that quote. It was like one of my favorite. I meant to say that like way earlier, but I forgot. And so that was like one of those things that like, man, guys, predators are out there and we know it. But we don't look at it as the person, our best friend who's dumping all of her life on us, right? That's a predator. They're preying on you because they know you're going to absorb it all. And then it's your problem now. It's not. Okay. Do not allow predators into your life. Have people like women like this who lift you up and try to pull you out of things and encourage you to move forward or to move out of it or not take it personally. These are the women that you need to lean into, are the women like this. Okay, that's my last one.
Okay, real quick too, the very last page of the chapter 61, then you can be in the middle of hell and still experience inner peace and happiness. I wrote this down and put it in my book for work. I work at Dave & Buster's. It's chaos, and the Bucks are playing in the Super Bowl. It's been chaos in this city forever, and it's so overwhelming to work in that place. And I have to remind myself that when everybody's having a bad day with their tables, I can still have my own inner peace, and they can be angry about it, and they can be whatever. And I'm the one that's happy and trying to spread joy and get everybody else. And if you don't like it, don't listen. But I'm gonna keep my peace. Keep your peace.
And you make that money, girl.
Love it. Yay. What a great chat this morning, ladies. Thank you for all showing up and chatting and sharing words of wisdom and just how you're feeling. I love seeing a different perspective on life and a different perspective on how others agree with different things. So thank you for sharing. Open mind. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, it's 9:01. I'm going to jump off here. I'm ready and I'm going nowhere. So, but that's
Well,
okay.
you look good doing it. You'll look good doing nothing. It'll be fine.
Chapter 4. Let's dive in this week. All right. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.